This conference will now be recorded.
Hello everyone, I want to welcome you to today's presentation, the E27 Alarm Engine. Getting started with the E27, I'm Brad with Elk Products. In today's presentation, we're going to introduce you to the new E27, give you some overview of the panel and the app and how to get started with the new system. Also joining me today is Christy Mass. She's Director of Sales for Elk Products.
Yes, good morning. Thank you, Brad.
I want to thank everyone for taking time out of their busy schedule today to allow us this opportunity. So before we begin, I want to say first of all up front that the new E27 is not a replacement for our M1 Gold. Our M1 Gold will still be our premium platform control for high-end security and automation, but the new E27 is a entirely new platform from Elk that will consist of a new family of security and automation controls, peripherals, software, and services. As I mentioned, the E27 is not a replacement for the M1. We'll continue to offer, support, and enhance our M1 system for quite a few years to come. Now, while the E27 Alarm Engine does some things differently, maybe perhaps a little bit more modern way than the M1, it doesn't have all of the capabilities that the M1 has. So you may be wondering why or how we came up with the part E27. Well, this is the very first product in our new Alarm Engine platform. And we're going to continue to add new systems to this new platform. E27 came about, the letter E for engine, and 27 is 16 zones on board plus 11 output. So 16 and 11, 27. That is how we came up with this new part number. This is a hybrid, hardwired, and wireless system. We feel like this is going to be great for system upgrades and new installations. It's going to have all of the modern features of a self-contained system without all the compromises. So it's still a hardwired system with a main brain plus a keypad, or you don't even need the keypad, with the central brain being located in a more secure environment versus self-contained where everything is right there at the front door or wherever the main control is located. We feel like the features and pricing make the E27 a great fit in the mid-tier or the mid-range market for security and automation controllers. Now the E27 Alarm Engine is going to feature, of course, our sleek professional hardware, solid hardwired and wireless system with Elk reliability, on-board Ethernet port for connectivity and reporting. Yes, we did listen to feedback from our installers, and we now have incorporated the Ethernet module on board. Still keeping with our modular design, makes installation easy and helps control cost. Our ElkConnect app will have credential-based interface, so it delivers all the tools installers need for programming. The same app is going to provide a great experience for our customers or our end consumers. The ElkConnect portal will certainly streamline system management. We now have enhanced rule writing capability with easy drop-down menus. And we've also, once again, listened to our installers, and we've increased the rule writing to include or and else statements. Z-Wave integration for easy to install module plugs. The module plugs into a dedicated connector on the E27 board. Devices are configured directly through the ElkConnect app. So once again, this is something we have taken feedback from our installers. We now have our own dedicated Z-Wave module. We're going to offer an optional Wi-Fi adapter. Now this will this allows the installers to plug the Wi-Fi adapter directly into a dedicated connector. Easy setup with AP and WPS support. The ElkConnect app. Now this is one of the hurdles we had to overcome before the release. Was we really wanted our ElkConnect app to look cohesive for the iOS and the Android phones, and we wanted the web portal to look very similar. So that is one thing that has held us back from release of this product, but the apps are now available. One app for system configuration control. Your installer credentials provide you full access to system configuration menus and tools. User credentials will provide them access to menus and tools for system control, as well as system status information, event history. You can easily manage multiple E27 systems through the app. As I mentioned, it's compatible with Android and iOS devices, so it looks exactly the same across both platforms. Now the portal, the ElkConnect portal, will allow you to easily manage multiple systems. The installer, you as the installer, will claim, activate, and manage your E27 systems from the portal. You can manage and customize subscription plans, which right now we only have the one subscription plan, but we do plan on adding additional services as this product goes forward. You can add employees that have access to the portal and to the app. You can create and manage automation rules. So there's no PC programming software as far as connecting to the panel and programming from a computer. Your app will do all of your system configuration. The web portal will allow you to create your rules. Now, the end customer can manage and control their E27 system from the portal as well, manage the system event notifications and so forth. Now, you may be wondering how all this is going to work. So we need to understand the Alarm Engine architecture. So the ElkConnect website and app communicate with the ElkConnect cloud to authenticate the username and password credentials. Once those credentials have been confirmed, the user is provided with their appropriate data and user experience based upon their credentials. Obviously, the installers were going to have more menu options versus the consumer. So once the ElkConnect website and app communicate with they then communicate with the P2P service to establish the actual connection to the E27 control panel for synchronization, configuration, system control. The ElkConnect P2P services communicate with the ElkConnect cloud as needed to facilitate these communications. Now, once properly configured, the E27 control, it is a security system, so it's going to need to communicate to a central monitoring station. This will be done over the internet, and it does not require the ElkConnect cloud or the ElkConnect P2P service connection. So this is pretty much a direct connect from the E27 to your central station over the internet. And we're going to take a quick look at some of the hardware options available. As you see here on the screen, this is the AE keypad, the Alarm Engine keypad. Looks very similar to an Elk M1 KP2, but they are actually two totally different keypads. The new Alarm Engine system incorporates it's still a 485 data bus, but it's communicating a lot faster baud rate. And the protocol, the internal protocol for the E27 is different from the M1. So there's no crossing of different peripherals between the E27 and the M1 system. System specifications, the E27 will allow you up to 128 zones, either hardwired or wireless, or a combination of both. There are 16 zones on board. There are 2 alarm outputs, 1 Form C relay, and 10 low voltage outputs available. You can expand the total relay output capability to 32. We now have 3 2-wire smoke zones. Once again, taking feedback from our installers in the field, we've now increased the 2-wire smoke loops to 3 zones. You can have up to 8 keypads connected to the system. Supports 8 areas or partitions. 199 users, plus we've added 10 user groups to that list. Powerful new rule writing engine with and, or, and else statement logic. Z-Wave support for 64 locks, lights, 8 door locks, 4 thermostats, and 4 garage door controllers. We still have our built-in astronomical clock, so the E27 will know when it's daylight and dark outside. The onboard Ethernet module for connectivity and event reporting, an optional Wi-Fi adapter, over 500 history event log, plus a new 2.5 amp power supply with master on-off switch and low battery cutoff. The E27 looks very similar to the M1. We still kept with our Phoenix connectors, our removable terminal blocks. So the upper left side of the board are the 16 onboard zones. The last 3, 14, 15, and 16 are our new 3 zones for 2-wire smokes. We have an auxiliary DC voltage output, onboard Ethernet port, dedicated connector for the Z-Wave module, a dedicated connector for the Wi-Fi module, the status LED or diagnostic display, the window into the E27, the alarm outputs and 11 programmable outputs, the RS485 data bus, DC power input and battery connection. Notice I said DC power, so there's no need for a big bulky AC transformer now. We have a very energy efficient DC power pack to power the E27 system. The diagnostics display is the window into the E27. It gives you different information such as the IP address or any error codes. It lets you know if the panel's rebooting, in bootloader mode, or waiting for factory default. It's a good diagnostic window there. Under the cover, you'll find the config switch for the Wi-Fi module. It puts in an AP mode or WPS mode, or it can be used to default the panel if necessary. The data bus wiring, the E27 still supports 485 data bus. So once again, no more than 2 home runs connected to the data bus and proper termination of those home runs. You can still have a maximum of 4,000 feet, much like the M1 system. Data bus termination, very important. So the last device of each home run should be terminated with the terminating jumper. 2 home runs. If you only have 1 home run on the board itself, you'll find the JP1 jumper. With that JP1 jumper installed, that engages the 120 ohm resistor across data A and data B. Now, without this termination, you could be subject to noise or interference or other stuff that could cause data corruption and cause interference with the data communication to the E27. Here is an example of 2 home runs coming off the E27 data bus. So in the top home run, I have a keypad, and then I've gone out to a hardwired input expander. The second home run is a relay board and then to another keypad. So for proper termination, we terminate the last device on each home run. None of the other devices would be terminated, neither would the main board itself. If we power down, measure the resistance across A and B here at the panel, we should read between 60 and 70 ohms of resistance. Doesn't necessarily mean the data bus got configured correctly. Obviously, we could have a reverse wire, but overall, it's a good troubleshooting tip that tech support likes to use to help troubleshoot some data bus issues if they should come up. Now, some individuals would prefer to home run back to a central point. And for that, you can use the option of using 6-conductor or a Cat5, and then do the daisy chaining yourself at the control using this configuration here in the top diagram. Or you can use, now I mentioned earlier there were no devices that cross between M1 and the E27. That's not exactly true. The M1 DBH hub does allow you to home run back to a central point using Cat5 or Cat6. We're actually using 6 of the 8 conductors inside there, 2 of which are return path, one for A, one for B. The DBH hub does the daisy chaining for you. Now, this is a passive device. There's no electronics, so it simply does the daisy chaining for you. Offered in the M1 product line is the Retro Hub. This board is not, absolutely is not compatible with the E27 system. The new E27's data bus baud rate is 115,200. The M1 is 38,400. So totally different baud rate. There's totally different protocols between the two systems. So this active hub is specifically for the M1. But the DBH, the standard hub, will work with either one. Eventually, later on, after the release, we will be designing a retro hub. But up front, right now, your two options would be to daisy chain the data bus or run a Cat6 and do the daisy chaining at the panel using the M1 DBH hub. Now, something that we've incorporated into the E27 is the ability to logically label zones, outputs, locks, lighting, and so forth, versus just going one right after the other. And that's a little hard to understand up front, but let me see if I can explain it just a little bit more for you. So on the main board, we have zones 1 through 16. But let's say, for instance, you only need the first 4 zones as hardwired. Your next zones will be on an input expander in the field. Physically, they exist on the panel and on the input expander, but logically, you can label them 1 through 10 in this example, and you've not lost any zones, even though you're not using. Although you're only using 4 of the 16 zones on the E27, you've not lost those 12. You still have those available in programming. So an E27 board will allow you a maximum of 128 zones, hardwired or wireless, regardless if you're not using specific zones. Like in this example, the main board, zones 1 through 4. Those are physical zones. You still have those 12 other remaining zones available in programming. That took me just a couple minutes to wrap that around my head when this was first introduced to me, but it's such a neat concept that very unique concept and really makes it an efficient system. So the E27, 16 zones on board, and AEXIN is your 16 zone hardwired expander. That's part of the data bus, or it could be at the control. And then you have a hardwired zone off of the AE keypad. You can still max out the system at a total of 128 zones. I kind of jumped ahead of myself, so this also explains the logical versus physical aspect of being able to have a physical zone or input, however you want to call it, an output, plus lights, locks, and still label them sequentially if you like. Now the AE keypad for the E27 It's not required. You don't have to have a keypad connected to the system because we really feel like most individuals will either use their app or the new 7-inch touchscreen that's going to be available for the E27. The E27 keypad does not allow for any programming. It's just basic keypad for ready ARM LED. The menu key allows you to view system status, zone status, adjust the backlight level, reset smoke power, and initiate the walk test. There's no programming aspects of it. The first three function keys, the F1, 2, and 3, are fixed at fire, police, medical. Only F4 can be used in the rule writing capability. Once again, you don't need a keypad, but you can have up to 8 of them connected to the system. The back of the keypad, much similar as the M1, has the terminating jumper if it's the last device. The data bus connection is exactly the same as with the M1. We will support an external Wiegand reader, and that requires the W039A wiring harness. The new Alarm Engine hardwired expander, the AEXIN, is going to have 16 onboard zones. We've incorporated dip switches for this module so that you can select different end-of-line resistors. So if you're replacing an older system that has either 2.2, 3.3, or 1K, you can still use those sensors in their existing end-of-line resistance values. Now this is per board. This isn't per zone. This is a global setting for this particular board. We've incorporated a Form C relay onto the input expander. Also an auxiliary power input and output. You can use our 12-volt DC power in. No need for big bulky transformers anymore, and still have battery backup, the data bus termination jumper, and the data bus connections on the new input expander. You also notice that the new circuit boards are black in colors instead of green. That's one distinction. You can tell immediately if it's an M1 board, if it's green, or if it's an E27, it's the new black color. The relay module, 8 Form C dry contact relays. These relays will be able to handle up to 120 volt AC at about 8 amps. Once again, we have incorporated the new auxiliary power input output, so you can have your power supply and battery charging capabilities here. There will be an optional digital dialer for those installations that still have POTS line communication, or if you would like to use a dial capture radio, you can install the digital dialer anywhere on the data bus. So you're not limited to just right there at the panel. You can move the dial capture module closer to the upstairs if necessary to get better reception. Totally up to you. The new Alarm Engine will support the ELK two-way wireless. Now we have a new two-way wireless receiver that can be installed onto the main board itself under the front cover. You'll see the mounting studs for the new AERF9 that supports the ELK 902 to 928 two-way wireless sensors, our 6000 series sensors. We also have the AERF3. Now this is for the 319.5 megahertz, the former Interlogix GE. ELK also has a nice line of 319 sensors, plus there's other manufacturers that are still offering 319.5 megahertz sensors. And as you can see, with the cover off, the wireless receiver will attach to the 3 mounting studs there. Now in this configuration, you're limited to either doing all ELK two-way or all 319 sensors in this configuration with it attached to the main board. Shortly after the release of the E27, we're going to offer a bus adapter, which will allow you to put the receivers on the data bus. You can have a maximum of 4 receivers on the data bus, and in this method, you can mix both the ElkConnect 2A and the 319 onto one system. So with the bus adapter, the wireless receivers attached very exactly the same way as they do to the main board. Now the optional Wi-Fi adapter, very small, very compact. It will include an external antenna. Make sure when installing the Wi-Fi adapter that the Wi-Fi symbol is facing out. Our Z-Wave module, there's a dedicated Z-Wave connector there. Now this is an Elk design product. This is our Z-Wave module, so we have greater control of the Z-Wave capabilities of the E27. So 64 lights, 8 door locks, 4 garage door controllers, things of that nature. Now the unit itself will have a 3-foot cable, so it can be mounted in the enclosure if you would like, or outside of the enclosure. The new kits, the new E27 kit, will include the new Elk SWB 14P, P for the plastic enclosure. So we have a new plastic enclosure for our E27, which also works with the M1. And once you have all the hardware wired up and set to go, let's talk about the portal. So once you have your login to the portal, and you can go to ElkConnect.com and register for your login to the portal will allow you to see the system panels, your installer settings, your billing information, and so forth from the main screen. You can add new accounts real easily. You can view current accounts. View system statuses, view systems that have been claimed but not currently assigned a subscription, active list of subscriptions, even delete subscriptions if necessary. The way you claim an E27. So once you've purchased your E27 system, you'll register it into your web portal. Once you've claimed or registered your E27 system, it belongs to you. It's your inventory, it's your system. No one else can claim an E27, claim that same E27 system unless you release it. So the process would be entering the MAC and the key, which is located on the SD slot right here. At that moment, you can go ahead and start configuring the system as far as setting up subscriptions and whatnot, or you can save and register it at another time. Once registered, active, you can pull up an individual system. You can check the arm, disarm status. You can see how the setup is, whether there's an onboard Wi-Fi receiver, if cloud services are enabled, and so forth. You can go to the rules. Now remember, the web portal is where you'll configure the rules and then push them down to the control. You can go into the rule editor and you can receive the rules up, or you can send new rules down to the system. Quick example of just what the rule writing, it's still a whenever then type rule writing language, but we've now incorporated the drop down menu as well as the and or else statements. And later on, we will probably doing a more detailed webinar on rule writing capability with the new E27. This is the rule editor. Tried to make everything very simple, very spelled out. Once you're finished writing your rules, make sure to click Done to return to the list and then send to the control. Now, the installer setting page allows you to enter your company logo. So this is what the end customer would see. Your company details allow you to edit plans and subscriptions and so forth from the installer settings page. Now, the billing page, once claiming a system doesn't require setting up an activation or a subscription plan. You simply hold that in your inventory. Once you've configured the system and you've invited your end customer to join the web portal or to have access to the app, that is when the subscription plan goes into effect. And right now, there's just the one subscription plan. That's basically for the web portal and app. It's $3 a month, billed at the very first of the month. So this will be done all through the web portal. Later on, we will be adding video integration and so forth, so there will be additional subscription plans going forward. Now, taking a look at the app itself, this is very exciting because now all of your programming is done through your smartphone. You don't have to have a computer on site. You don't have to worry about cables and whatnot. You connect to the system over the local area network or through the Wi-Fi adapter. So once you have the app, click on the login screen, log into the app, then you can discover the systems on the local area network. Click on an individual MAC address to begin programming. The main menu, as an installer, your border will be black. The consumer, the end customer, their border will be blue. So once you log in as the installer, you go to the main menu. You can then select all of your programming options for your zones, your users, your areas, your keypads, and so forth. The main screen is going to give you some additional information like trouble indicator, unsecure zones. Now, one thing we've done in the app, and I think everyone will appreciate this, for the wireless devices, like your wireless sensors, the app now will tell you how strong the signal is and the approximate battery strength. Right now, this is a good battery versus the patio door, which is a little weak. It's in the yellow area and it's a less signal strength. You have your quick menus at the bottom, your home, your automation for lighting, locks, thermostats, and so forth. Current status, obviously in this case, is disarm. You can toggle the chime. The emergency buttons allows for fire, police, medical, and a new feature called local siren sounds. So if you just want to turn on a siren, maybe perhaps scare an individual, you don't have to actually have it communicate to central station. It'd be local siren only. You have your weigh and stay arm status. You can view the bypass status of zones, swipe between different areas. You can have up to 8 areas programmed into the new E27. System programming, once again, it's all programmed through the ElkConnect app. Main menu gives you access to areas, users, and so forth. Configuration is based entering a short name or toggling between the different menu options. Once adding, click the plus symbol to add a new user, configure the user with the different options available. And once complete, don't forget to click save to save that information. That pushes it to the system. A list of sensors obviously is available. This will allow you to scroll through the different sensors and see what status they are. Quick smoke power reset option. Green indicates the system's in a ready state. Sensor ID, the name, its status, hookup, the area where it's physically assigned. You can see the different physical assignment prefixes. And once again, the logical assignment of the zone versus its physical input. Logical assignment of other devices such as outputs. There's available 32 total outputs off of the E27 system. Physical assignment of your Z-Wave devices, whatever makes more sense. And later on, we will be also doing a more detailed programming webinar or GoToMeeting session. So at this time, we'll open the floor up to any questions which may have come in. Christy, have you been monitoring the chats?
Yeah, so as we move into this next portion of questions, you can either throw them into the chat box. As you can see there, Jimmy's already asked one, or you can just simply unmute and ask away. So the first question come in, Brad, it says, can you connect without internet to the program?
Yes, yes. Yeah, absolutely. If you're local on site, you can connect to the local area network with the hardwired Ethernet module or with the optional Wi-Fi adapter. It creates its own little private network that you connect and program that away.
Wonderful. Next question, will there be an option to install a cellular connection such as a C1M1?
Yes, that is on the roadmap to probably next year. Obviously, it'll be available. We are doing a cell radio for the E27. It is coming.
Next question. This is a good one. Will ElkConnect be available to M1 systems in the future?
That is a good question. I can't really answer that at this time. We're not quite at that point. Obviously, it is something we talked about, but actually having that type of capability, that is something we'll have to look at in the future. So I can't really say yes or no at the moment.
Very good. Next question. What about third-party integration like Control4 and others?
Oh, absolutely, most definitely. So we were holding off on releasing the API to developers until we got closer to release, until we were waiting for UL listing before we released it. But we have given it to a few developers. One is the Control4 developer so that they can go ahead and get started with the understanding that could be some things that change. But yes, there will be an API and it will be publicly available to those designers, developers, integrators that want to create an app or a plugin to support the E27.
Yeah, and I think the other two right now, currently, like you said, Control4, Crestron, and Elon have all received the API, and we are currently working on Savant and some other ones. So those are all currently being developed, like Brad said. Next question. Would we use the digital dialer for a product like the M2M for the cellular? A digital
It should,
dealer
yeah.
for, yeah.
Yeah, M2M is a universal diode capture. So yeah, that it should work fine. As long as it simulates a phone line voltage and current, it should work.
Good. Will the Elk M1 Gold support the new app as well?
No, not at the moment. No. Maybe
Are the
later
end
on down the road. We'll see.
are the end user subscriptions paid to installers or directly to Elk?
The installer pays it directly to the to Elk through the ElkConnect website.
Right. So then the end user would pay the installer, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Good. Do the keypads from the M1 work?
No. No. Only the AEKP will work on an E27. None of the other keypads will work. But we didn't have I didn't have a slide yet, and I should have had that put in there for today because very exciting news. We are going to have a 7-inch touchscreen that'll be Wi-Fi or PoE to support both the E27 and the M1. So one touchscreen is going to work for both systems. When you launch the app on the touchscreen, it's going to ask you which platform you're connecting to. So that's some exciting news for the M1 as well, as we're getting a new 7-inch color touchscreen.
Yeah, and all of you on the call today got an email from me with the instructions for joining the webinar. You're welcome to email me and I can send you over the data sheet on the new touchscreen as well. Next question. Are there any geofencing options?
I'm sorry, were there any what?
Geofencing options.
None at the moment, no.
What about email and push notifications?
Yes, it will support email and push notifications, yes.
Good questions. Will the unused ports on the hardwired zones need terminating resistors?
No, you can disable them.
For access control, you require a keypad for each door, correct?
That is correct. One keypad per reader, yes.
These are excellent questions, guys. Keep going. Is the M1 end of life?
There's no end of life just yet. We fully anticipate to have the M1 or a new design version of the M1 later on in the future, but we're talking probably 3 to 5 years down the road. So we are that far out. So we feel fully confident our M1 is going to be around for quite a few years to go.
Perfect. That is all the questions I see in the chat at this time. Oh, here comes another one.
That's fine.
If geofencing is not going to be available, will it work with apps like IFTTT?
We'll have to come back to that one because I don't know the answer to that one.
All right, I'm going to make a note of that for you, Jamal. Hang tight for me. What about Lutron lighting?
Once again, right now Z-Wave only. Later on, we will just have to see how that goes. So, not ruling it out, absolutely not ruling it out, but probably for the next year at least, maybe a little longer, we're probably Z-Wave lighting only. But we will see.
Again, you're welcome to continue to put your questions in the chat box or unmute and ask them yourselves. Either way works for us. I'm not
Folks,
seeing any other.
yeah, we're gonna give it a couple more minutes here. Chrissy, is there anything that you would like to add that I didn't perhaps go over?
No, I think you've hit it all spot on. I will say, Stephen, if you know somebody at Lutron, please get in touch with me. We can start the ball rolling if you've got an inside connection there. We'd love that.
Oh, I saw
Okay.
one. Yep.
Yep. What's the time frame on the 7-inch touchpad?
We are anticipating the first of the year, so around January, first quarter, so for next year. So it's coming soon.
Will the API be available to independent programmers?
As far as I know, yes. I don't, just much like the M1, I don't think we will keep that private. So yes, as far as I know right now, I haven't heard any different. Yes, it'll be available to independent programs.
Andy, if you'd like just to shoot me over an email about that, I can send that up and get you a more definitive answer as well. Is the API cloud-based only?
Yes, I believe it will be. But good question, though. I will not 100% say that, but I am about 99% sure it'll be cloud-based only.
Will there be Alexa and voice integration?
At the moment, that is not something that we are directly pursuing. That would probably be up to like one of our integration partners, like maybe Universal Devices. If they come on board and create a driver, that would be something I suspect they would do. But right now, as far as Elk is concerned, I don't think so.
Is programming via the API or just end user control via API?
Just the end user control, I believe. Yep.
Good questions, folks. If you do happen to think of a question later this afternoon or even later over the next few weeks as you're working with your demo units, you're welcome to email those over to Brad and myself, and we'll get you answers right away for anything that you have.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you all so much for the compliments in the chat. We really appreciate the feedback. Yes, Keith, we actually are recording this one and we can send this out if you're interested. You've got it, Jamal. We'll send this to you as well. Oh, and Stephen too. You got it.
Folks, we'll stick around for a few more minutes. We'll take additional questions. I think pretty much everyone would like a copy of the recording. That's perfectly fine. We can get that to you. No worries. I want to thank everyone for taking time today out of their schedule to allow us this opportunity to present this new and exciting platform from Elk Products. It's been a few years in development, but we're so excited to have it out and available, and looking forward to the feedback we get. So once again, I do personally want to thank everyone for taking their time and for supporting our products.
Absolutely.
All right, I believe that it pretty much wraps it up for today. Once again, thank everyone, and we'll follow up with those questions that we couldn't get answered, and as well with the recording. So once again, thank everyone. We look forward to speaking to you again soon.